And welcome to the My Local Radio Sports Network Homefield Advantage. I'm Aaron Poling, joined by Elon Olive and Anthony Colasuno, and we've got a good show on tap for you today. But before we get started, we have to send some giant thank yous out to Jake Major with the Bullock Agency, as well as T7 Propane. We also want to send a thank you to Bear Lake Memorial Hospital as well as First Bank of Wyoming, because without them, none of this would be possible. So we have quite the show for you on tap. We're going to get it started with the Evanston golf coach before we turn it over to Bridger Valley Soccer, as we have an interview with their coach before we wrap it up with previews of the weekend's games coming up. But first, Elon.
Yeah, got a chance to talk with Coach Jerry Carroll of the golf team. Of course, their spring season starts tomorrow in Riverton. Kind of a fun rivalry developing between Riverton and Evanston on the golf side lately. It was Riverton and Evanston has finished 1 and 2 in the last 2 boys state championships at the 3A level. So got a chance to talk with Coach about who's coming back, specifically Riker Lind. He's an incoming senior, so he's going to be exciting to watch. A lot of people think that he's going to be that number 1 guy in the state. But it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see what happens this season. But here's that interview with Coach Jerry Carroll. Here with Evanston golf head coach Jerry Carroll. Coach Carroll, spring golf is here. Of course, the culminating events take place in the fall. But this season, though, even though there is no state championship, there's a conference championship. And it's also very, very important for you guys to set yourself up for success come August.
You know, because of the nature of golf in Wyoming overall, because of the seasons and the weather we have, you know, it's important that we get 12 weeks of golf instead of just 6 weeks in the fall, because in the fall we focus mostly on just competing, the upper end kids, even though we're working to improve everybody. When we get to the spring, our seniors are not there. We don't have to worry about competing for a state championship. And so we go back to the fundamental skills. We go back to working with all the kids and just making sure we get improvement and get them ready to go into the summer, where they can take the things they learned, put them into practice, and then they come back in the fall ready to play competitive golf.
Talk to me real quick about what you guys have coming back. I know you guys have all underclassmen that are competing in spring golf because you guys want to try to get that same nucleus that you guys use throughout the fall season. But talk to me about who's coming back and who are some names to kind of be excited about.
You know what? I'm excited about all of our kids, but, you know, Riker Lind's going to be a name that's going to stand out around the state. He came and was the state runner-up last year. And did a great job, was a great addition to our team. So you got to think Riker's going to help us a great deal. I'm excited about Cade Brady, our lefty, who was a freshman, made it to state and was like a half a stroke out of going to state as a sophomore. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Jackson Hall is going to be another great golfer. He had his brother was on the varsity last year. Jackson was a JV player of the year. Parker Green is another one. This name should stand out a little bit. He's got to come up and be a leader and get down into the 70s for us. Then we got a couple nice freshmen with Brady Schmidt and Tyler Peterson and Kel Stokes. I'm excited. We're looking to, you know, not take a step backwards, but take a step forward, even though we've been very good for a couple of years with those seniors that we lost. And it's a big loss. Don't get me wrong. Those were great kids. It was hard to lose all those kids this year, but we feel like our underclassmen are going to step right into those shoes. As far as our girls, again, I'm excited. I think we've got some great girls coming back. I think you got to look at Haley Ridenauer is going to do a good job for us. Unfortunately for her, she just had surgery on her knee, and she's going to be out a little for spring golf. So that poses some problems. She's going to have to put extra time and effort in to regain her golf status just because of the surgery, I think. Then we got Maddie Brown, who's an upper-comer, and I think she's going to be one of the top golfers in the state. Marley Torres, an all-stater from last year, is back. Emmy Fessler is going to do a great job for us. She's a nice athlete that we've got and starting to get the golf bug. I just think, like let me see. Haley's all-conference golfer. Maddie's an all-conference golfer. Marley's an all-conference golfer. So I think we're going to be able to compete with just about anybody next year.
You mentioned that the freshmen, incoming freshmen, of course, right now they're in 8th grade. They're not part of the high school program. But are they part of this spring golf program as well?
Here's what I do. When we don't have 20 because we lost our seniors, I do invite the 8th graders that would like to come out, say they're going to come out next year. I'll say, if you're not in another middle school sport, because we don't want to pull from those other sports, I'll say, if you're not in one of those, then come. And a lot of middle school kids are in track right now, and you don't want to steal them. But we will, as soon as the golf course opens, we will invite those kids to come to practice. Right now, without the golf course being open, I don't want to have them come because we've hit into nets and putted on carpet. Today's the first day we're going out to the course. It won't be open, but we can at least get a little bit of practice in on the range.
Coach, you guys have your first competition on this weekend over in Riverton. Talk to me about that course and I guess the teams that you guys will face there.
You know what? There's going to be 12 teams there, so we're going to see a lot of great competition. We'll see Jackson, who I think is a force in 4A. They have the same problems we do. Their course isn't open. Star Valley will go there. So we'll be rusty. All of us will be rusty as we go towards that. But you'll see Riverton, who's there, and the other side of the state. Like I said, there'll be 12 teams there, and it'll be a great competition. Some of those schools still allow their seniors to play. So with not having much course experience, I'm just hoping that our kids go and probably shoot. I'm guessing we're going to shoot around 330, and 320 is good. So we're not quite going to be up to snuff, but it's the first meet. We haven't been on a golf course yet. We'll keep our expectations low on this first golf tournament.
Coach, if you don't mind me asking, what's your excitement level personally as a coach to get back out there and get back to a tournament?
You know what? I am addicted to golf. I have just loved golf, and it's a big part of my life. When I get done, all summer long, I get up, go golf 9 holes. This is about my 38th year or something of coaching these kids, and I get excited. It renews the energy levels for an old coach like myself to go out and get competitive and watch kids improve and get better at their skills. And I love when they get competitive and want to win every time they go out. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. It really does ignite the fire. So I'm really looking forward. Swing golf is difficult in Evanston and Wyoming overall, but I think we're going to come through it and still be a force in the state.
That's Coach Jerry Carroll, head coach for Evanston Red Devil Golf. Coach, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck this weekend. We'll be pulling for you in safe travels to Riverton and have a great time. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I appreciate you calling and asking. I've got great kids in both boys and girls programs, and go Red Devils.
And good luck to the golf team as they embark on their spring season, as they start in Riverton tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that golf is being played right now. Myself and Anthony have been talking about it for probably the last week, just wanting to get out on the golf course and, show off our poor games. But, it's such a great thing that the weather this year is allowing them to get out on the course, where it felt like last year I was talking to Coach Richens, the Evanston Red Devil soccer coach, where last year at this time, teams were just finally starting to get outside. So it's been nice that the weather, it doesn't feel like it's relenting now that we're living in it, but it's nice to know that it's a little bit better than last year. And these athletes can get outside because it stinks playing your outdoor sport inside. So I'm really happy to see them actually be able to get out to the course today.
I was about to say, when you compare it to last year, it is so much more doable.
Absolutely.
Than last year. Anthony wasn't here, but Aaron, you remember exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember being very upset that there was still snow up to my knees in the middle of April. So, yes, I am well aware. And, luckily for the kids, because you really hate to see weather take a season away from a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So best of luck to those guys in Riverton. They'll be traveling up there, playing tomorrow. And we can't wait to hear about the results. And we'll have that on Tuesday's episode of Homefield Advantage right here on mylocalradio.com at 10:30 a.m. on KQ, or KNYN, and 4 o'clock on KQ. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some Bridger Valley soccer. You're tuned in to My Local Radio Sports Network's Home Field Advantage, brought to you by Jake Major with the Bullock Agency of Wyoming and Bear Lake Memorial Hospital.
When you have an emergency, choose Bear Lake Memorial Hospital. Open 24/7, the professional emergency room staff is trained for trauma, medical, cardiac, pediatric, orthopedic, and obstetric emergencies. Bear Lake Memorial is a critical access level 3 trauma center, offering immediate access to radiology, lab services, surgery, and internal medicine consults. The ER teams are well-trained professionals who are ready to act. When you have an emergency, Bear Lake Memorial Hospital, the most caring hospital on earth.
Out here, we've always worked remote. Out here, stress usually refers to the pull on a rope. Where a stroll in the city is also a stroll in the great outdoors. Where work is a way of life, and life is good. Out here, the backyards are big, and the deals, they're even bigger. This is southwestern Wyoming, and it's where you can get the biggest deals on a vehicle you want, with plenty of hometown hospitality. Heritage Auto, your hometown dealer with the biggest deals.
Whether it's for your home, your ranch, your equipment, or your business, when you need propane, count on the best. T7 Propane in Woodruff. The safe and professional team at T7 Propane offers quality product and the most responsive propane service in the area, so you can enjoy the affordability, reliability, and efficiency of propane. For heating, cooking, grilling, motor fuel, and more, count on the team at T7 for your personal or business propane needs. 435-793-4208.
At Reese Auto Service in Lyman, you will find highly skilled mechanics who will get the job done right the first time. They work on anything from light line jobs of tire alignments, suspension work, and oil changes to heavy line jobs of engine replacement, differentials, and all powertrain components. Make sure all your recreational vehicles are working at top speed by getting them checked at Reese Auto Service in Lyman so your time having fun doesn't end early. Reese Auto Service, 541 State Highway 413, Lyman.
Welcome back live into Home Field Advantage, presented by Jake Major with the Bullock Agency of Wyoming and Bear Lake Memorial Hospital. And we'll thank a couple more of our sponsors, Reese Auto, Benedict's Ace, and Benedict's Market, and also
Heritage Auto,
and what's
the Station on Main?
Station on Main. Thank you, Aaron. I drew a blank right there for a quick second. And we thank those sponsors, as we wouldn't be able to do any of this without them whatsoever. And of course, it is soccer season in the Bridger Valley, and today is Lyman versus Mountain View, the Bridger Valley Classico, the final matchup between both of these sides for the regular season, unless somehow both these sides can meet up in the state tournament in May. And we have an interview with head coach Kelsey Van Dusen of the Mountain View Lady Buffaloes. We'll go to that interview right now. Here with Kelsey Van Dusen, head coach of the Mountain View Lady Buffaloes. And Kelsey, hopping straight into the interview. Last week, Mountain View faced off against Powell and Cody. What were some of the lessons learned for the team in those matchups?
You know, the girls did a great job. There were so many factors with the weather and those kind of things. So they did a great job trying to be flexible with those. Some of the lessons that we learned was just, how do we keep creating that team unity? How do we keep creating an offense that is going to be doing something for us and for our team? Something that really worked well for us is our defense has really worked hard and becoming a unit and being able to work together. So for this next week, we're looking at bringing our whole team together, and I look forward to the girls being able to do that.
And of course, this week you guys play Lyman in a huge rivalry game. What are you emphasizing in practice going into this week?
There's always a lot going on when you're a high school athlete, and we're just really working on being present, being a part of a team, creating a good dynamic as a team, and really getting our groove and what we want to do as a team put together.
Next question, Coach. The Buffaloes have played about 5 games so far this season, almost to the halfway point. What are some of the second half expectations for the team?
I think that this next part is going to be a lot of building and a lot of putting everything together, making sure the defense and the offense are working together, working the ball up the field, being able to recover back and play defense when we need to, and really, again, just bringing this team together. I think that's going to be kind of our constant message this year and this season is how are we building our team to be a team for this season and to continue for growth.
That's all the questions I have. Kelsey, thank you so much for your time, and good luck this week.
Thanks so much.
Well, I'd like to thank head coach Kelsey Van Dusen for joining us here on Home Field Advantage, and soccer underway for both these teams. And, of course, today a very pivotal matchup being the rivalry game between Lyman and Mountain View.
Yeah, it's always fun when those two teams get together. And if I remember correctly, last time, a couple of pretty good games in there as well. And, that's when rivalries are at their best. If both teams are playing at a level where both of them can compete with each other, that makes it so much more fun of a rivalry versus, I've been on the side of a rivalry where you're getting, run down your throat, where the other team's just beating you badly. And that's just not a lot of fun. So it's great to see the rivalry being close together.
Well, and especially looking at the girls' side with Coach Van Dusen being the girls' coach for the Buffaloes, the last matchup at Lyman High School, Lyman was leading 2-0 at half. And then all suddenly, Buffalo's 10 minutes in the second half scored 2 goals to even it up.
Yeah.
And then Carly Saby scores the go-ahead winner about halfway through the second half. And the final is 3-2 in favor of Lyman. That is a storybook type of matchup that always feeds on adrenaline and momentum.
Yeah, and that's what a rivalry should be, in my opinion. I mean, we joke about it sometimes on our broadcast. That sport's a little bit more fun with a little disdain, where you're not all hunky-dory and friendly with your opponents, and that's what rivalries are about. Granted, you could be friends off the field, and there's probably relatives that are playing each other in the Bridger Valley Classico, as you termed it. But that's what makes it so much fun, is that for those 80 minutes on the field, it's I want to beat them, and I want to beat them badly.
Well, and talking to some of the kids that are going to be playing it today, Bridger Lake said about the rivalry that a lot of the kids from the opposing team are friends of his off the field. But when it's on the field, it's business as usual. They're the opponent side. We want to beat them, and we want to get 3 points.
Can we get the obvious out of the way? This is the second time these two teams have matched up, which means we are already halfway through the season. That is nuts.
It's very crazy. Yes. That we're already halfway through the season, and both these teams are matching up for the second time. And it's going to be a good one today for sure down at Green Space Field. Kickoff for the girls scheduled for 3 p.m. Kickoff for the boys scheduled for 5 p.m. on what's a beautiful day weather-wise from last week.
So let's dive into this matchup. I mean, on this is the second time these two teams have met. And so talk to us about what we need to expect from this matchup today.
It's going to be high intensity, but also a lot more of a bigger field. Green Space is a lot more bigger than Lyman High School's field, so it's going to be that adjustment to a bigger size of a field, but also a little more of the outdoor elements as well in play. But it's going to be high intensity. It's going to be a good, fast-paced matchup between both these sides. And usually when a team sees the other side for the first time, it's a learning curve. It's learning how they're going to work around the ball. It's trying to predict them. The second time, it's going to be knowing a lot of your opponent and knowing what they're going to do right then in that moment. As the last time the boys won, it was Mountain View boys won 4-0 over Lyman. And we're going to see what's going to happen with the Lyman Eagles on the boys' side, because they're coming off a thrilling win in PKs versus Powell. That could be a huge momentum shift for the season. And talking to head coach Cody Eardley, who's the first-year head coach of the Lyman Eagles, he was so proud of his team, but also he could tell in that game they were clicking on all cylinders. And they asked him about the situation in the PKs, and he said he trusted the team. He knew what they were doing, and that they were going to communicate well in those PKs and kind of tell the goalie, hey, the opposing guy's going to shoot on that side. And Nate Nielsen, a freshman goalkeeper, saved the day for Lyman and helped them to that win. So it's going to be a closer matchup on both sides, I think, than last time through.
Yeah, anytime there's a first-year head coach, you have to learn systems. And I think we sometimes forget as, fans watching the sport of, you watch a professional team, they have a new system, but opening night, they're ready for it. It's a whole lot different. There's not, 8 preseason games and 3 weeks of training camp. It's usually a couple weeks of practice. Here's the jamboree, and now we got to try to figure this thing out on the fly, when it takes time for these systems to really get set in place for these players, especially coming in with a new head coach and, in a system that might not be similar to the one they played last year. And there's a lot of crossover sometime where I think players will do what they're naturally trained to do last year, and that's what's been stuck in their head, and just breaking that. I think it takes time, and I think we're starting to see that with the Lyman Eagles, that they're starting to get it. They're starting to turn the corner, and they're starting to build. And that's what you really want heading into the final stretch of the season.
Absolutely. And now it's kind of getting to the point where right now on the boys' side, Mountain View sits number 3 in the West.
Yes.
So they are hanging on to a playoff spot. For the girls, I'm trying to find those standings right now. There they are. And it looks like Lyman and Mountain View are both on the outside looking in right now. But for that 4th place spot, it's a 3-way tie between Green River, Lyman, and Mountain View. Whoever wins this game is probably going to put themselves temporarily into that 4th place spot. So this is a big game for the girls.
Oh, big game, absolutely. And right now, the midway point of the season, any points help. Yes, you want to win. You don't want to lose in PKs, but if you lose in PKs, you at least gain a point on the regular season.
Yeah.
That point can take you way further than a regular loss in regulation where you don't gain any points. So a lot of, good stuff to come in today's game, but also a lot of just high stakes on the line.
Well, the good news for both teams is that Green River is a team they are chasing right now, and both teams play them twice. Yeah, both teams play them twice, and as an athlete, you couldn't want anything more with your state hopes on the line of getting that team that you're trying to chase down. Because you go out, you put 2 performances up against them, suddenly you're the team that's being chased down, and that's what I love is just getting these head-to-head matchups where there's so much meaning into the game. That's what makes sports great.
We've got some matchups coming like that talking later, because I'm looking at the boys 4A West rankings, and that's a bit of a tease later on. That's going to be big.
Yeah, 3 teams are all tied with 3 points. 4 teams, excuse me.
Yeah, it's nuts. Tell us about the broadcast information. What time you're going live, and tell us about this.
So for today's matchup, Big Country Properties pregame show scheduled to start for 2:30 p.m. down at Green Space Field, and then the girls kick off at 3 p.m. Boys at 5 p.m. And you can see that on mylocalradio.com and the My Local Radio Bridger Valley YouTube channel. And, of course, Friday I'll be at Lyman High School for Lyman versus Pinedale. And they're going to flip it around. Boys at 2 p.m., girls at 4 p.m. Big Country Properties pregame show scheduled for 1:30 for Friday.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll break down those Evanston matchups. You're tuned in to Homefield Advantage, brought to you by Jake Major with the Bullock Agency of Wyoming and Bear Lake Memorial Hospital.
Hey there, I'm Jake Major, your local Medicare and insurance benefits advisor for the Bullock Agency of Wyoming. With over 25 years of experience protecting families in rural America, we understand the importance of having affordable insurance coverage. Whether you're searching for extra coverage or looking to understand and switch your Medicare options, I can help you find a range of top-rated insurance companies and tailor-made packages based on your needs. Call me, Jake Major, today at 307-209-4685 and let's discuss your insurance options. We're the Bullock Agency of Wyoming when benefits matter.
If you've never heard a mechanic say they truly care, then you've been at the wrong place. Stacy's Repair in Woodruff is a family-owned and operated business open since 1992. Offering all types of maintenance and repair services, you can be sure your vehicle is operating at its best. Whether your vehicle is older or the newest model, gas or diesel, we fix and maintain them all. Also offering chip repair, windshield replacement, and tires. When your vehicle needs a mechanic, bring it to the ones who truly care. Stacy's Repair in Woodruff.
Founded in 1938 with the hopes and dreams of serving the Bridger Valley, Benedict's Trading Company was started. Now 85 years and 3 generations later, Benedict's Market is still serving the Bridger Valley by offering the highest quality meats and fresh produce to having fresh baked items and hot deli options. Benedict's Market is your one stop for all of your grocery needs. Benedict's Market offers the best services in a modern setting to make your shopping both quick and easy. Visit them today at 950 North Highway 414, Mountain View, Wyoming.
Life is better in the country. KNYN, Fort Bridger, Evanston, Woodruff, 99.1, the country you want to be in.
And we welcome you back to Homefield Advantage, presented by Jake Major with the Bullock Agency of Wyoming, Bear Lake Memorial Hospital, and also a big thank you to First Bank of Wyoming, as well as T7 Propane, as well as Union, Les Schwab Plains Tires, and the broadcast booth for Rich is sponsored
Les Schwab
by
Plains
Les
Tires.
Schwab as well. So a big thank you to those sponsors. Without your guys' support, we could not do any of this, really. So we got some big soccer games coming up for the Evanston Red Devils this weekend. It's the Casper teams coming to town. Kelly Walsh on Friday. Right now, Kelly Walsh on the boys' side, they are ranked the number 1 team on the girls in the latest Wild Preps Coaches and Media poll, and the number 2 team on the boys. But the games on Saturday, Aaron, those have got a lot of intriguing situations.
Yeah, and so does the Kelly Walsh games. These are just 2 really big games for the program, especially the boys program. Getting that win, they have a real good opportunity to get themselves into a favorable matchup heading into the regional tournament. And if they're able to do so, that puts their chances of going to state much higher. So for the boys, both these games are huge. And, Kelly Walsh coming to town, obviously that's a really good team, a really good side. The Red Devils have an idea of what they want to try to do against Kelly Walsh. I mean, you could put a game plan together, but it doesn't particularly matter sometimes when you're playing a team that talented that it could be thrown out the window. But, that game on Saturday, when you look at where they were 2 weeks ago, I was talking to Coach Richens about this earlier today in our interview for the pregame show tomorrow. This is a team that went from 16-1, lost a game 4-1, and then came back, turned around, all within a matter of 3 games, won 2-1. And that takes a special type of grit, because it is not easy to have that happen to you on your home field in front of your home fans, and to be able to turn around within 3 games, pull out a win. And that's why I think that game on Saturday, it is definitely winnable for the Red Devils on both sides. They can go get that game. Not that they can't win on Friday. Friday's a whole nother beast, where Friday, I think if you can come away with a draw, I think either side would be pleased with a draw there, where I think Saturday both teams should be upset if they don't win.
So here's the situation. It looks like the top 3 teams, they're kind of off in their own little field, and they're going to battle to figure out who's going to get that first round bye and the automatic bye into state. Because Kelly Walsh, Jackson, and Rock Springs currently are all tied at the top of the table with 9 points. And then you have Star Valley, Riverton, Natrona, and Evanston. So the other 4 all tied for 4th with 3 points. So not only is a a favorable position to the Red Devils. A top 4 position is available to the Red Devils, depending on how the second part of the season goes. You still have another game with Riverton. You've got 2 with Natrona County and another one with Star Valley. And quite frankly, if Evanston gets off to a good start, they can play with Rock Springs, as you mentioned as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens starting this weekend, and then when they go through the second trip through the conference this season.
Yeah, and having a realistic shot at being the 4 seed is huge, especially when you technically, points and standings wise, that means you're better than the team that you're supposed to play, and you're the team that's supposed to win. So these next few weeks are going to be critical, but I do think that the Red Devils have kind of found something where on both sides where they're really starting to build play together, starting to play as a cohesive unit. Unfortunately for the girls, they had to miss a player, a really big part of their team in the Rock Springs game. That kind of made, I think that, or in the Rock Springs and Riverton game, because it made a difference at the end of the Rock Springs game, and then it made a huge difference against Riverton. But getting that player back and just getting an opportunity to get out there and show what they can do, I think these teams, they're rapidly improving, and especially after going and getting results. Both these teams now have results on the table, which last year they didn't really get a ton of results. They had a couple of draws, but you have results, so you're showing that, hey, you can play with some of these teams, and now the goal out there is just to go and put those teams behind you with the win, especially on the boys' side, where they have a really good chance to do it this weekend. Girls will have to probably wait until they come back to playing Star Valley again before they get a real opportunity to put someone behind them. But the boys have a good opportunity again on Saturday to kind of put Natrona County out of the race. Put yourself 3 points ahead with half the schedule remaining.
Yeah, and then also the final game of the regular season is that Natrona County game in Casper. So it's one of those deals where I think if you're Evanston, you need to think about. I think you need to sweep Riverton, and I think you need to split. I think you've got to get Star Valley.
That's getting too far ahead. I think this is a team that has to focus day in, day out, because you win one game, and it happened. Like it happened to us in high school when I was in high school, where we were playing basketball. We won one game, and suddenly, if we win this game, we're here and here, and we didn't think about the next game, which we should have been thinking about. Got blown out. So if you're the Red Devils, you have to take it one game at a time. And it's easy to look at the schedule and be like, they have to sweep these, but you just have to continue to go out and build. If you go and you continue to build, I think that's going to put the Red Devils in a great spot heading forward.
So looking at this week, of course, Kelly Walsh, they are, I think a lot of people have them in Jackson usually penciled in to at least be a Final Four team in the state. So
rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. So you look at what they've been able to do. Right now, they're the number 2 team on the Wild Preps Coaches and Media poll. Jackson is number 3, I believe. Double checking that real quick. Yeah, Jackson is number 3. Kelly Walsh is 2. Central is 1. But only about a 5-point difference in the poll 15-point difference in the poll between Central and Kelly Walsh. So it's going to be very, very interesting how Evanston kind of responds to getting an opponent back at K. Fackrell Stadium. That's kind of that high level type of opponent, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is this Kelly Walsh team beat Jackson. And I don't have to remind you what Jackson was able to do here. So I think the Red Devils are going to come in, and if they can put up a good fight, I'm not going to call for a result against the Kelly Walsh team. I think that's incredibly unfair to expect a result against this Kelly Walsh team, because they're good. They are very, very, very good. And if you're the Red Devils, like we said, it's about continue to build, continue to get better, continue to build on what you have built so far. And that last game against Riverton, they can build on that a little bit, and then they could play pretty good defense against Kelly Walsh. They're going to head into Saturday against Natrona County. I think they're going to feel good, but it's going to take that game against Kelly Walsh where, you don't want to go down and lose this one 10-0 because you have a game the next day. It's going to take a great effort, I think, against Kelly Walsh to get them ready and prepared and ready to go against Natrona County, a team that is very beatable, by the way.
And historically, Natrona County and Evanston have played some close draw type games, some giving up a go-ahead goal late in the game type situation. So that is going to be a must-see TV there. But when you look at the rest of the state and where Kelly Walsh lines up, I think if you're and what Kelly Walsh traditionally does. Jackson, they like the quick attacks. They like the counters. They like to just kind of attack and get goals on the board. What Kelly Walsh has historically done is they kind of like to connect those short passes, get you to chase, get you to kind of wear out a little bit before they start striking. They're a little bit more of a kind of a predator waiting in the weeds type attack than an all-out just blitz like what we saw from Jackson a couple weeks ago.
And that's also one thing that happened to Star Valley in their game against Kelly Walsh. They got stretched defensively. And if you allow this team to stretch you, they're gonna pick you apart. So you got to stay compact. And I almost think it'd be worth having 8 players in a defensive positioning, just because it's going to be so tough to defend. Where if you can keep yourself in this game, maybe 1-0, 2-0 in the first half, give yourself an opportunity in the second half. It's all you can really do is you can give yourself a chance in the second half by getting off to a good start in the first half, and that's going to be paramount for the Red Devils, because if this Kelly Walsh team gets going, they showed against Star Valley, they can be an absolute avalanche against the team.
Absolutely. And, of course, those games are Friday and Saturday at what time, Aaron?
So we only have the Friday times right now, and that is going to be a doubleheader, 3 and 5, girls at 3, boys at 5, as we'll have that for you. The the Kazine's Ace pregame show will be at 2:30 tomorrow, as we'll have the pregame show for you live from K-Fackrell Stadium.
And that is going to do it for this week's edition of Homefield Advantage, brought to you by Jake Major with the Bullock Agency of Wyoming and Bear Lake Memorial Hospital. I'm Elon Olive.
I'm Aaron Poling.
Anthony Colasuno.
And we will see you guys at the game. It's Bridger Valley Classico Part 2 later on this afternoon, and then Evanston and Kelly Walsh tomorrow afternoon, live from Green Space and K-Fackrell Stadium, respectively. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you then.